I am born to achieve greatness, and so are you. On today's episode, we will have a review of the book Achievement, Building the Courage in Young Men and Women to Unleash the Power Within to achieve their dreams and impact the world.
Born to Achieve. Born to Achieve. Welcome to Born to Achieve podcast, the show that inspires and motivates you to unlock your full potential and achieve your goals. With your host, Warren Andrew Pinder. Let's get started on this week's episode of Born to Achieve. Born to Achieve.
All right, get ready, because we're doing something a little different today. We're going to be diving deep into excerpts from the first draft of Achievement, the book by Warren Andrew Pinder.
Oh, cool.
Now, you might be thinking another self-help book.
Right.
But this is like a sneak peek. We're getting a look at the author's rough ideas before they even made it to the final book. And what makes it even better is we've got Nicolette Archer's foreword. She's like Warren's sister.
Yeah.
So you get his story from someone who knows him really well.
It's like we're getting a behind-the-scenes look at how the book came together.
Exactly. And that's what makes this deep dive so interesting. We can uncover the core messages and the real wisdom that might change a little in the final version. But it's still got that raw, powerful feeling.
I like that.
So let's jump into chapter 1. It starts with a strong message. Action. Make it happen. And this isn't just about doing anything. It's about realizing that action is the basis of any achievement. You know, Warren tells this great story about a guy who just casually mentioned an idea for a rent-to-own car business. This was during the pandemic. Most people would just let the idea fade away. But this guy, he actually took action. And guess what? He built a successful business from it. It just shows how even a small action can turn into something big if you're brave enough to take that first step.
Yeah, it's like that saying, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. But it's not just about physically doing something. It's about changing your mindset.
Right.
Going from, I wish I could, to I'm going to.
And Warren, he doesn't just talk about it. He actually lived it. He worked for a company with the motto, make it happen. And you can see how that idea is a part of his whole life.
I see.
He even tells this amazing story about finishing a building project in just 3 months. 3 months. Imagine that. And to meet the deadline, he worked for 3 days straight.
Wow, 3 days straight. That's serious dedication. But you know what's really cool? It's clear he truly believed he could do it. Like his belief fueled his actions, and then his actions made him believe even more.
That's a great point. It makes you think about how much our own beliefs can hold us back. What if we all had that same strong belief that we could achieve anything?
Yeah, like that belief is a form of action itself.
Exactly.
A way of starting things off.
So we've got action, but chapter 2 goes into something just as important, having a direction for that action. What Warren calls charting your course. And he uses this really smart analogy of a kid learning to cross the street. You don't just run out into traffic, right?
Yeah.
You got to look both ways, find the safest way, and then be careful.
It's a simple analogy, but it makes sense. Even simple actions need a plan.
Exactly. And he tells this fascinating story about a guy who owned an elevator company back in the 1960s. Back then, elevators were mostly in fancy hotels. But this guy saw that elevators could be used in all sorts of buildings. So he planned out his whole career, learned the trade, and positioned himself perfectly to be a leader when elevators became more popular.
Wow, that's smart.
And guess what? He became a leader in the industry.
It shows that it's not enough to dream big. You gotta have a plan to make it happen.
Okay, now get this. He then tells a story about a young man who got involved in a drug deal that went bad. This guy hit rock bottom. But here's the amazing part. Instead of letting that ruin his life, he decided to change direction. He learned a trade, worked super hard, and became successful.
It's a good reminder that it's never too late to change.
Exactly.
And it's not just about finding a job. It's about being brave enough to admit you're on the wrong path and then being strong enough to create a new one.
And to really prove this point about changing direction even after setbacks, Warren tells us about a high school friend who got expelled right before graduation. You'd think that would be the end, right?
Yeah, it would be tough.
But instead of giving up, this guy joined the Marines, went to law school, and then built a successful investment firm.
Wow, that's incredible. It's like getting expelled helped him find a path that was meant for him.
It shows that even the hardest times can lead us to great things. So we've got action, we've got direction, but what happens when we hit roadblocks? That's where chapter 3 comes in, and it's all about overcoming hurdles.
And Warren points out a difference between hurdles, which are challenges you can get over, and obstacles, which might mean you need to change your whole direction.
It's like that saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But it's not just about surviving hard times. It's about using those challenges to grow and learn. And to show this, Warren gets really personal. He talks about living with his strict older sister while he was in university. Imagine this. He had to budget carefully, walk miles to school, and even take a janitorial job to make ends meet.
Wow, that's a lot to handle.
It was.
Especially while trying to go to school, too. Yeah, it really puts things in perspective.
It does. But it sounds like he didn't just get by. He actually thrived in that tough situation.
He did. And he says that experience taught him how to be resilient, resourceful, and how to take action even when things are hard. Remember the main message from chapter 1, make it happen. It's like he's showing us that those ideas work even when things are difficult.
Like those hurdles actually pushed him forward.
Yeah.
And, this whole idea of overcoming obstacles really hits home when he talks about writing the book itself.
Oh, yeah.
He's super open about struggling with procrastination, feeling overwhelmed, and almost giving up.
I like that he's so honest about it. It's not always easy, even for someone like Warren. But here's the interesting part. He talks about how his mentor taught him this idea of forced accountability.
That's that.
Basically, it's about setting deadlines, telling people what you're going to do, and creating pressure to actually get things done.
So it's like he's tricking himself into being motivated by making a system that keeps him on track.
Exactly.
And he didn't just talk about it. He actually used it to finish the book.
That's cool.
He set a deadline, started talking about the book on social media, and basically made himself accountable to everyone who was following him.
That's really smart. It makes me think about how we could do that in our own lives. Like, are there ways we can create that forced accountability to help us reach our goals?
Yeah.
Maybe it's joining a group, finding someone to keep you accountable, or even just telling people what you're going to do.
It's like turning up the pressure on yourself, but in a good way.
Exactly.
And, it's great to hear an author be so honest about the hard parts of writing a book. It makes the whole process seem more real, more human.
Totally. It reminds us that even successful people struggle sometimes, but it's their ability to overcome those struggles that makes them different.
And speaking of pushing through challenges, chapters 4 and 5 really step it up. Warren dives into how important it is to put in effort and give 100%.
Okay.
He tells this great story about two friends who both wanted to be pilots. One friend was really focused, studied hard, never missed training, and achieved his dream.
Sounds like he had the right mindset.
He did. But the other friend, he took shortcuts, didn't have that same drive, and ended up doing something totally different.
It's like a clear example of how much your effort can affect what you achieve. It's not just about showing up, it's about being fully dedicated.
And that idea really connects to Warren's own experience, especially when he talks about keeping his promise to his mother to sell her property after she passed away.
Oh, wow.
This part was really touching. He talks about how imagining the goal and feeling how important it was kept him going. Even when things got tough, he kept pushing because he was driven by something bigger than himself.
It's like his sense of purpose made his effort even stronger. It wasn't just a business deal, it was a promise to his mom.
Right?
And it makes me think about how powerful it can be when our efforts match our values. When we're working towards something that really matters to us, it doesn't feel as hard.
Totally. And to really get this point across about intense effort, he brings up Usain Bolt, the fastest man in the world. Most people just see Bolt's speed, but they don't see the tough training he did to get there. Remember that part about him throwing up during his workouts?
Oh, yeah. Not a pretty picture.
It's not.
But it shows what it takes to achieve incredible things. It's about pushing yourself beyond your limits, being okay with being uncomfortable, and going that extra mile even when you feel exhausted.
It's like they say, pain is temporary, pride is forever.
Exactly.
And it's not about loving the pain. It's about knowing that to really achieve something great, you often have to dig deep and find strength you didn't know you had.
I like that.
So we've talked about action, direction, overcoming hurdles, and putting in the effort. But now in chapter 6, the focus changes to something just as important, but often ignored. Values and priorities.
Okay.
This is where the book gets really deep. It makes you think about what truly matters to you and how those values affect your choices. He gives examples of everyday situations, like saving for a house versus buying a new car, or paying bills versus spending money on things you want.
Those are tough choices.
They are, And it's not about saying one choice is right and one is wrong. It's about realizing that these choices often show our deeper values and priorities.
That makes sense.
And then he shares this beautiful story about his involvement in Junkanoo. It's a big cultural festival in the Bahamas. He talks about the dedication, the sacrifices, the hours of practice, and all the effort it takes to participate.
Wow.
And it's clearly not just about having fun. It's about honoring tradition, connecting with his community, and expressing his cultural identity.
It sounds really meaningful. And it's a good example of how our values can drive our actions and shape our experiences.
Exactly.
It makes me think that if we can figure out what our own core values are, it can help us make decisions that match who we are and what we want to achieve.
It's about living with intention, making choices that reflect what we truly believe in, and creating a life that feels real and meaningful.
I like that a lot. And it's interesting how he connects this idea of values to his own struggle with writing the book.
Yeah.
He talks about getting distracted, losing focus, and not making the book a priority.
That's something we can all relate to.
Totally.
We all get sidetracked. We all have so much going on. And sometimes it's tough to stay focused on the things that are really important.
So true.
But here's the key takeaway. His mentor helped him get back on track by reminding him of his values and why this book meant so much to him.
That's what a good mentor does.
It's like he needed someone to help him remember his own internal compass.
It highlights how important it is to have people around you who can help you stay focused, hold you accountable, and remind you what's truly important.
Definitely.
And speaking of what's important, Chapter 7 explores earning the rewards, leaving a legacy.
Okay. This is where the book goes beyond just personal success and starts looking at the idea of making a positive impact on the world around you.
Yeah, I see that.
And this is where his thoughts on being a dad really stand out. He talks about how important it is to be a good role model for young men, especially with all the challenges they face today.
It's true, they need positive examples.
He even has this interesting acronym for family. It highlights what he thinks are the qualities of a real man.
Oh, what is it?
Providing for his family, accommodating their needs, investing in their growth, loving them unconditionally, and yearning for their well-being. It's not just about being a father figure. It's about living those values all the time.
It's like walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
And you can tell this comes from a real place for him. He talks about growing up around bad boys, the temptations he faced, and the good influences that helped him choose a better path.
It's like he's showing that even when you're surrounded by negativity, you can still make the right choices.
And now he's using those experiences to mentor his own son, to guide him and teach him those same values that helped him succeed.
That's awesome. It's like he's breaking a cycle, passing on what he's learned to the next generation.
But he's not just talking about it, he's actually doing it. He talks about his leadership roles, his achievements, and how he's giving back to his community.
So he's really living those values.
He is. It's clear that he sees success not just as something personal, but as a chance to make the world a better place.
It's inspiring to see someone use their achievements to help others.
It is.
It makes you think about your own definition of success.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Achieve Men, even in this early draft, it's clear that Warren Andrew Pinder has a powerful message. And it's a message that comes from his own life. From what he's learned and from his desire to help young men reach their full potential.
It's a message that resonates.
We've seen how he stresses taking action, planning your path, overcoming obstacles, putting in the effort, knowing your values, and achieving things that go beyond just material success.
It's about building something that lasts, making a difference, and using what you achieve to help others.
And remember that part about his son's achievements.
Yeah.
It wasn't about awards or grades. It was about seeing his son grow and become a good man. That's what made him most proud.
It shows that those less tangible rewards, like connection, growth, and making a positive impact, can be way more fulfilling than anything else.
It's like he's saying that true success isn't about what you get, but who you become along the way.
That's a powerful idea.
And now, as we finish up, we want to leave you with a question to think about. It wasn't in the draft, but it's something we think Warren would like.
Okay, I'm listening.
How might your own idea of success change if you focused on those less tangible rewards? The satisfaction of overcoming a challenge, the pride in helping others, the joy of leaving a positive mark on the world.
Those are great things to strive for.
A question worth thinking about. So as you go on your own journey, remember that achieving your dreams is about more than just checking things off a list.
It's about more than that.
It's about living a life that matches your values, a life that makes a difference, and a life that makes you feel truly fulfilled.
Well said.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope it's given you something to think about, and maybe even inspired you to go after those dreams you've been holding on to.
You got this.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep unleashing that power within.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Born to Achieve. Born to Achieve. We hope you found it informative, inspiring, and motivating. Born to Achieve. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and family. Stay focused on your goals, and we'll see you on the next episode of Born to Achieve.
Take advantage of this incredible opportunity. Sign up today and claim your free ebook at www.borntoachievegreatness.com. Follow us on Facebook at Achieve Movement Inc. Get your copy of Exploring Achieveland, A Journey to Realize Your Dreams, Motivational Stories of Kindness, Inspiring Stories for Kids on Amazon and Kindle.